Welcome back again to the Imaginary Gallery. It's TJ, your host, and the Narcissist Bag of Tricks. Remember this book? It's called Snakes in Suits When Psychopaths Go To Work by Babiak and Robert Hare. The book's mainly geared towards the workplace, which the narcopath has had some experience in that realm, but it also has some interesting parts that refer just to they call it the psychopath, and they try to make that distinction between that and the narcissist. And I'm just saying, look, honey, they're both toxic, so who cares? There are a few little gems here and there that apply whether it's a workplace or real life, and so that's one of the ones I've chosen to extract for this particular video, for this narcissist bag of tricks, because face it, in that stupid bag they have, lies is one of their biggest and best tricks that they've used all their lives. Most of us were taught as children not to lie, and we grew up to be reasonably honest people. Young psychopaths learn how to lie very well. Interviews of criminal psychopaths reveal the most grossly distorted stories and blatant lies, presented in an entertaining, somewhat self-serving, but altogether matter-of-fact style. Even in the face of contrary evidence, the psychopath can lie so well that listeners doubt themselves first, rather than question the psychopath. Honesty, they say, is one of the most important traits in he's saying an organization, but you could also apply that to a relationship. The problem is twofold. First, it's unpleasant and not socially acceptable to claim that somebody else is dishonest or unethical. And second, just how do you measure honesty? Is offering a customer a less than quality product dishonest business or good materials management? Is avoiding questions about layoffs and downsizing until final decisions are made dishonest or good employee relations? These are difficult calls to make. They are challenges to organizational responsibility and effectiveness. But the psychopath can easily slip through the fog by appearing to be honest and ethical on the surface, yet doing things that many would agree are dishonest and unethical privately. Now, pathological lying is the hallmark of the psychopath. They cross back and forth easily between lying and honesty during conversations because, key point, they do not have the guilty feelings the rest of us have when we tell a lie or try to tell a lie. Their lies are always woven with a thread of truth, like Hillary Clinton, which, if questioned, they indignantly point out in their own defense. Questioning a well-positioned corporate psychopath's honesty can bring its own punishment in the form of retribution against the challenger. Can you believe what so-and-so just said to me? He called me a liar when I shared with him the information about ... One of our psychopaths told an executive about a coworker he wanted to derail. Organizations can forgive mistakes if the intention was honest, and motivated by the best interests of the company. Psychopaths often use these excuses to get themselves out of a jam if caught in a lie, making it difficult to separate the honest employee from the dishonest. Inability to be modest. Not everyone's modest, yet it is an admirable trait where it exists. Modest people do not brag about their accomplishments, but typically enjoy doing a good job for its own sake, accepting only an occasional pat on the back as a reward. Many who are modest shun the spotlight, preferring to let the record speak for itself. Modesty may be valued by most employees, but immodesty can be equally accepted if it's justified. Occasionally, letting others brag about their success helps to build relationships. But there is a thin line between justifiable pride and arrogance that is not lost on coworkers. Both narcissists and Machiavellians tend to be immodest, but it is the psychopath's arrogance that stands out so clearly to coworkers. Unfortunately, when dealing with the higher-ups, the ability of psychopaths to manage and promote their arrogant self-perceptions and to package them as self-confidence and strong leadership effectively hides their true nature. Genuine modesty among psychopaths is so rare as to be non-existent. Its absence, while not an indication of psychopathy directly, can help to corroborate other suspicions. Inability to accept blame. Taking responsibility for one's mistakes and not blaming others is a highly valued thing in relationships and or corporations, as well as in the society in general. Psychopaths rarely, if ever, take responsibility for their actions, even if they clearly made mistakes or their actions and decisions led to failures. But they go a few steps further. They will not only blame others, but also create evidence that others are to blame. This takes effort, but psychopaths easily integrate it into their game because they're retarded, seizing on opportunities to bring harm to others' careers or professional standing. Clearly, this is a form of lying and quite different from the shifting of blame or pointing fingers that most of us sometimes engage in. This is active instrumental aggression. Because covert blaming is hard to uncover, it often takes a series of failures of projects under the functional control of a psychopath to produce any significant results. Fast-paced companies are particularly vulnerable to this problem, as they tend to move people too quickly into new jobs without sufficient evaluation of their current performances. For example, after a year and a half on the job, a manager with psychopathic tendencies was promoted to a higher level job at a different division. He came with a reputation of decisiveness, good communication skills, and charismatic leadership. His success at initiating innovative new products earned him a reputation as genius among others in the field. 6 months after he left his old position, things started to go wrong. Sales were down. Rework was up, and profit margins sagged. The products he'd championed were simply not meeting the expectations of either customers or the company, despite the fact that his decisions regarding the product were faulty and implemented contrary to the data collected by marketing research and manufacturing departments. He easily and effectively blamed those left behind for not picking up the ball. He blamed manufacturing for not being able to build the product to the right and tight specification of his design. He blamed marketing research for selecting the wrong demographics, and blamed his replacement for not giving the project the attention and care he had given it when he was in charge. Thick. Inability to act predictably. We are all more comfortable with people who are somewhat predictable, even those who are different from us. Businesses need to know that those who are working for them will show up at work, perform their jobs according to accepted safety and quality standards, get along with the other employees, and not disrupt others. Even creative types who may surprise us with their genius are considered predictable once their day-to-day work habits are understood. What a business cannot afford is what is commonly referred to among management is a loose cannon. These individuals wreak havoc on the normal flow of business as well as on day-to-day social intercourse of other employees. They disrupt meetings, come up with irrational ideas, embarrass others and the company, and surprise even the most seasoned. Few executives like surprises, and they pride themselves on being aware of the goings-on of their business. Because you never know when it will go off, a loose cannon can be the executive's worst nightmare. Unless one truly understands the machinations of corporate psychopaths, it is almost impossible to predict what they will do. Rarely are others privy to their inner workings of the mind, making them dangerous employees to have on staff. Astute psychopaths control their behavior while in the presence of those in higher authority, especially if they have identified them as potential pawns or patrons. In most cases, the best sources of information about their erratic behavior are co-workers or supervisors close to them. Inability to react calmly. The ability to remain calm during a crisis is the hallmark of a good leadership. Psychopaths are quite adept at maintaining their cool when in situations being observed by those in power, especially if this trait is valued by the company. Yet, when out of view, they can overreact in socially inappropriate ways. Many who observe this phenomenon, I'm one of them, will report them as being dramatic. Occasional outbursts by supervisors, such as when responding to a dangerous safety violation, are acceptable and even expected. But psychopaths tend to overreact in response to perceived personal insults or insufficient demonstration of respect for their authority. This harms the work group and ultimately the company because it puts everyone on notice that the psychopath must be treated with kid gloves. Psychopaths become unapproachable, which defeats the purpose of good supervision, open and honest corporate cultures, and free flow of information. Groups subjected to dramatic bosses often lose their cohesion and team spirit, falling back on an every man for himself mentality. Because psychopaths are able to moderate this behavior while in the presence of authority they respect, it can go unnoticed for considerable amounts of time until they move on and the stories start to emerge. Unfortunately, the only evidence available before this monster's departure is rumors and tension in the department. Insightful HR organizations can learn more about what's really going on if they follow up on such information. And the last part here is inability to act without aggression. Bullying and intimidation have no place in business. They disrupt work, hurt others, and are unfair to the people who cannot defend themselves, which often includes most of the company's staff. In business settings, overt aggression comes across as bullying, while in its covert form is coercion and intimidation. Few executives would argue that these can harm the company. Learning about this type of behavior is often difficult, though, as most bullying is done in private. Because of the legal ramifications of such behavior, many companies institute no bullying policies and create confidential mechanisms for affected employees to report this behavior. Codes of conduct often have provisions concerning bullying and intimidation. In some European countries, it is also against the law. To be effective, the policy must be clear and communicated to everybody. Supervisors and managers must receive training on how to recognize bullying and deal effectively with it. Employees may also receive training on how to confidentially report abusers in their workplace. Psychopaths, despite their charming and engaging personas, are masters of manipulation, intimidation, and coercion. Overt bullying often is a tool of their trade. The problem is that these behaviors, as well as threats of litigation, may also be directed towards those who investigate the complaints.
I am the Narcopath.
And tonight is Workplace Confession.
You and I worked together once, if not maybe a few times. Do you remember when, knowing I had 10 years seniority on you, when the company asked us to submit our vacation requests for the next year? Do you recall when I said to you so friendly like,
I said, oh, why don't you tell me what days you're asking off for so I can make sure that I don't ask for those same days because I have more seniority? And like a fool, you gave me all the dates that you wanted for the next year. And do you recall what I did? I asked for every single one of the days you wanted off. Gotcha! So, no hard feelings. Just thought I'd let you know that. I can't help it that I'm so pretty. I mean, I could have no experience and get any job. All I have to do is that little button trick, and I got the job.
maybe you could learn, oh, but you may need to get some implants first and some plastic surgery. Oh, sorry, I digress.